be rocking that Wilma Flintstone. When it's time to rock the bed, then I get my bread on.
Sit down, test out this Impact Tremors thing. Everybody wants it. I'm not really sure why, but give it a shot, I guess. Why not? Alright, so I got a Swiftspear, an Impact Tremors, Nantuko Husk, Outpost Siege, 5th turn. I will play Dragon Fodder, that deals 2, Monastery Swiftspear gets prowess. And then I'll play Hordeling Outburst, that's 3 damage, and Monastery Swiftspear gets prowess again. I will tap 4 of the tokens to Stoke the Flames, that's another 4 damage, that's 9 this turn. Then I will sacrifice all those tokens to Nantuko Husk. Outpost Siege deals 5 damage, that's 14 this turn. And then I'll swing with Nantuko Husk, and that deals, what, 15? What? Okay, it's late game, I've got 7 mana. I guess I'll play Pia and Kiran, that deals 6, because I have 2 Impact Tremors in play. And then I'll play Outburst, that's another 6. And then I'll swing for 16 with the Husk. Wait, what? What's happening? Alright, so I've got a Purphoros and Impact Tremors out. So I'll play Liliana, that does 3 damage. And then I'll sack Swiftspear to Tymaret, that does 2 damage, and a zombie comes in. That deals 3 when the zombie comes in, and I'll flip Liliana. And then I'll neg 1 Liliana to bring the Swiftspear back into play. That does another 3 damage. And then I'll Dragon Fodder and deal 6. So that's 17 in all. What? Seriously, there's no joke here. The deck is ridiculous. This deck is ridiculous, you guys. The deck. Good is good deck.
I wish I lived in way back. I wish I was more laid back. I wish I didn't mind when people paid to not pay me back. I wish I had a shorter list. I wish I was a materialist. I wish I did not feel like solving problems with my fist.
What's up, my wizards? Dev from the place with people that like playing Magic cards a lot. We have got something that, like, is super, super highly anticipated. Everybody wants this thing, and I don't blame you, because now I've done some testing with it. This thing's awesome. This is Red-Black Impact Tremors, and it's budget-ish, you know. I actually struggled really hard with whether or not I wanted this to be budget or non-budget, because I think just adding a couple of cards makes this deck really, really good, although the budget version is awesome too. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to you right now. It's only going to cost you, you know, 50, 60 bucks, something like that. Not a terrible thing, and if you want to go completely budget, it can only cost you just a handful of dollars, which is not bad at all. Let's go ahead and give it to you. Well, creatures first. We're playing 16 of them. 2 copies of Foundry Street and 2 copies of Monastery Swiftspear. Honestly, any distribution of 4 of these 2 1-drops is fine with me. I'm favoring Monastery Swiftspear, which is a surprise. I thought that I would be favoring Foundry Street, honestly, but in any case, I like any distribution of these. Even a 3-in-1 is fine because both of them are just very, very good for what the deck does. Foundry Street gets a lot of bonuses off of Dragon Fodder and Hordeling Outburst, obviously. And then Monastery Swiftspear, again, we're playing 21 spells in the deck or something like that, so lots of bonuses there for her. And I like both cards. Let's play both of them, but again, any distribution I think is probably fine. We're playing 3 Bloodsoaked Champion, lots of good synergies in the deck with this card. With Impact Tremors out every time it hits the battlefield again, that's a point of life. And if we have Outpost Siege out every time it leaves the battlefield, that's a point of life. So this gets pretty crazy pretty quick and is a pretty reliable damage dealer for us, which in some cases we need something a little more reliable than just drawing into stuff that we can do. You know, this is pretty good sort of on-board effect that we can reuse over and over to get guaranteed damage, which is important for the deck. We're playing 2 Tymaret the Murder King, which we can end up doing an awful lot of damage with over the course of the game. I've got him and Nantuko Husk in the deck, both of them. And I thought that I would like Nantuko Husk, especially with Outpost Siege in the deck. Just, you know, sacrifice all your dudes, Nantuko Husk, deal damage when you sacrifice them because they leave the battlefield. Then swing in with a huge Nantuko Husk, blah, blah, blah. But with Tymaret, you get that same bonus. It costs you a little bit of mana, but you do extra damage on top of that with his ability. I think it's just very, very, very good, and he only costs 2 mana. Not a bad deal at all. Tymaret, this is sort of the deck for him, so I like the card a lot. 2 copies of, what do you know, Nantuko Husk. This does exactly what I just said I wanted it to do, but not as efficiently as I wanted. Just basically, if you have an Outpost Siege and a bunch of tokens out, you can drop Nantuko Husk in the game right then and there, you know, deal 5-6 damage just by sacrificing dudes for free. With all the tokens laying around, why not play Nantuko Husk? Here's another reason to play Nantuko Husk. Liliana, just 1 copy of Liliana Heretical Healer, one of the things that makes the deck not as budget as it could be. Now, if you want to go strictly budget with this, I could suggest probably, this worked for me for a while, 1 copy, just 1 copy of Thopter Engineer in the deck. This gives us a 3rd turn follow-up to Impact Tremors that deals 2 damage, and we can swing in with a Haste Flyer, which is not bad, considering we don't have that many 3rd turn follow-ups. especially that aren't, I mean, there's really nothing better than Hordeling Outburst as a third turn follow-up to Impact Tremors, but Foundry Engineer is not a bad one either. Now, the one copy of Liliana is, again, another reason to play Nantuko Husk. You can sacrifice, you know, one of your creatures, you get a token, sacrifice that, you know, you get damage off Impact Tremors when the token comes into play, and when you sacrifice the guy when it comes to Outpost Siege. So there's so many little synergies with Liliana, and you get a Planeswalker out of the deal. Pretty freaking awesome. So I do suggest at least, if not two, one copy of Liliana. Two copies of, I don't know if you're ready for this, Pia and Kiran Nalaar. This thing is a freaking all-star, you guys. Just letting you know. If you have an Impact Tremors in play, this is obviously 3 damage right there. If you have an Outpost Siege in play, then whenever you sacrifice one of these stoppers to Pia to do 2 damage, then it does an extra damage, which is pretty cool. So just having Impact Tremors out lets Pia, and just multiple copies of Impact Tremors with a card like this is amazing. So there's that to consider too. There's many turns where you can play Pia and Kiran late game. Play Pia and Kiran, deal 3 to 6 damage if you have multiple Impact Tremors out. Sacrifice them to Nantuko Husk, dealing more damage, you know, sacrifice a couple of Thopters maybe to Pia that same turn, and just you're dealing all the damage in the world late game with stuff like this. And Pia and Kiran is crazy, and if all else fails, you can swing over with Flyers for the win. Whatever, you know, this card is very flexible and does a lot for us. And we're playing 2 Purphoros, God of the Forge. We will not often generate enough devotion to turn him on, which kind of sucks, but that extra 2 damage whenever a creature enters the battlefield is just dope. That's like ridiculous if we have a Purphoros and an Impact Tremors out, and sometimes even an Outpost Siege. This is not Magic Christmas Land, by the way. These are things that happen late game in this deck. If we can drop a Purphoros with an Impact Siege out, or an Impact Tremors out, then just a Dragon Fodder does like 6 damage. You know, Hordeling Outburst does 9 damage. Ridiculous. Crazy things start happening. So Purphoros is definitely, I think, a must play in this deck. You know, Pia and Kiran, again, 9 damage. This thing is nuts, and it's dumb, and it's stupid, and you won't play it. Well, we're playing 21 spells in the deck. We're playing 4 Impact Tremors, right? I mean, we're doing that, right? We're playing 4 Impact Tremors. It does damage when things come into play, and a lot of our cards make things come into play. So we're playing that, because it's this is the deck. This is the deck. We're playing 4 copies of Lightning Strike because, you know, we need some burn. This is good just to finish them off if that's what we want to do. Kill creatures that maybe are in our way, which we're not going to be doing like a ton of attacking in the deck, but it's cool. You know, we have chump blockers. That's cool too. But not only is this removal, also does damage to the face. Let's play 4 Lightning Strike, you guys. That's cool. 4 copies of Dragon Fodder, the other thing that makes the deck work. And also, while we're at it, 4 copies of Hordeling Outburst, it also makes the deck work. These cards are just ridiculous, especially if you have multiple copies of Impact Tremors or Outpost Siege, or Outpost Siege and something to sacrifice your guys to, or just, you know, chump blocking with dudes, or Purphoros out. I mean, we just have many cards to facilitate these cards being awesome, so let's play these cards and get chump blockers out of the deal. There's so many reasons to do it. There's good cards, and they're good in this deck, so yes. We are playing 3 copies of Stoke the Flames because we have to. It's perfect for this deck. I'd really like to play 4, to be honest with you. We should play as many Stoke the Flames as we possibly can. Comfortably fit in the deck. You know, 7/1 drops plus Dragon Fodder, Hordeling Outburst, and other creatures. Let's play Stoke the Flames. I'm pretty sure it's a good idea. And 2 copies of Outpost Siege. I've said everything I want to say about this, I think, during the video. I keep bringing it up. With things like Tymaret, this deals extra damage on top of his, the damage he already does, which is pretty effing sweet. On Nantuko Husk, this helps us deal extra damage. When we chump block with our dudes, this helps us deal extra damage. And we can always choose the other ability. Why not? I mean, for a deck like this, being able to essentially draw 2 cards every turn is pretty nuts too, but the only reason I'm only playing 2 is because our curve is getting pretty high for the kind of deck we're trying to play here. Something like, what, 6 4-drops, which is kind of a lot, I'll be the first to admit, but I mean, any of these 4-drops are like an almost auto win. So it's just crazy. All of them have ridiculous synergy with everything else we're playing, and I'd like to play all of them. So I'm greedy, and I'm going to do it. Because Outpost Siege is just crazy, and Purphoros is crazy, and even Pia and Kiran, card is nuts. Do not underestimate that card. So, dumb. Go ahead and move on to the lands. The other thing that makes the deck not so budgety, 23 lands in the deck. We are playing 2 Bloodstained Mire, and you don't have to play them, but if you have 4, you should totally play 4. I feel like a play set of Bloodstained Mire actually makes the deck like insanely more efficient, and we can play less swamps. Fewer swamps is good, but you could also just go with a random assortment of mountains and swamps, way more mountains than swamps, and even the Rogue's Passage is fairly cheap, so you could do that. Bloodstained Mire increases our efficiency and consistency by a lot, a large degree. So I definitely suggest playing them if you can get your hands on them. Which are like the cheapest fetch, so do it. This is our board here. It's fairly self-explanatory. For a red-black budget deck, we're playing some burn and some stuff against control, Duress namely. Kolaghan is really cool. I just wanted him to be in the main deck, but pushed him into the board against mostly other aggro. If we can drop him, it ends up being pretty good, especially with some Thopters out. He's pretty awesome, it turns out. So, do like him. Board, you know, it's a board. This is what we want to do, right? I think so. And here, my friends, are the power rankings. Pretty good power rankings for a deck like this. Final score of 60 when you tally it all up, which is a little higher than a lot of budget decks end up being. Of course, this is only sort of pseudo budget. And if I were to drop the Liliana, that score would drop slightly, but not that much, honestly. This deck is really good. It ends up doing crazy amounts of damage. Just turns where we're dealing like 8 to 12 damage, and we don't even know like how. You know, I'll sacrifice these 2 dudes to Nantuko Husk, and that deals a couple of damage. We've got 2 Impact Tremors in play and a Purphoros, so I'm going to do a Dragon Fodder. That deals like 1 million. Like, stuff gets out of hand really fast. I really had a great time playing this deck, no doubt. I mean, even against some of the all-stars in the format, Green Red Dragons included, this deck can just pull out wins like out of nowhere. Like, if you survive until the 5th or 6th turn, you're just doing stupid stuff. You're doing really stupid stuff with either Purphoros, you know, Pia. If you've got a Purphoros and then you play Pia and Kiran, especially if you also have an Impact Tremors, things just get super nasty, super quick. You're dealing like finishing damage really, really fast. The deck is great, I think, and has a lot of ways, lots of ways to deal a lot of damage. It's not dependent on any 1 or 2 things other than Impact Tremors. But even if you don't get your Tremors, you get Outpost Siege, Purphoros, you see these cards. So I think the deck is really freaking fantastic and survives very well into the late game because it's got its own chump blockers and stuff. You know, it comes stock with those. Well, that's the deck. As usual, if you enjoyed this content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. That means a lot to us when you do any of those things, especially commenting and liking. Let us know how you feel about the deck. Go take it to your FNM and check it out. See what you can do with it, because I actually think the deck has tons of potential and just comes out of nowhere, especially game 1. Love the deck. And, you know, love talking to you guys. Next thing that I want to do is either a Lesha Marauder, want to finally get around to that, or Sphinx's Tutelage. I've also heard a lot of people say do a non-budget version of Blue-Red Counterburn. I'm probably just going to do Is It Dragon. So let me know which of these things you'd like to see the most, and I'll hop right to it, you guys. I've got them all built, except for Sphinx's Tutelage, but this is just because I've been building it forever. I don't have it finalized. But anyway, let me know what you want to see next. I'll get right to it. My name's Dev from SBMTG. Thanks for watching, my wizards.